I'm Christopher Sagner, 5 Done. Welcome to Lesson 1, Attacking. First, let's preface this by talking about what attacking actually is. In Go, attacking can manifest itself in many different ways, but very often it's going to be in one of these 3 facilities. It's either going to be removing the opponent's base or ability to make a base, removing the opponent's access to the center of the board, or removing the opponent's ability to convert space into eyes directly. To give a little bit more context, let's first define what a base is. Take this position on the board, for example. In this shape, black has 2 stones on the 3rd line, 2 spaces away from each other. This shape is the most common shape, often referred to as a base, a 2-space extension on the 3rd line. A base refers to any grouping of stones that surrounds a space, typically near the edge of the board, but can also be on the sides or center, that's large enough to make at least one eye. By removing the opponent's ability to make this base, you make it much harder for their stones to settle or live locally, thus allowing you to take more territory more efficiently. Let's take this opening position here. When we talk about the efficiency of making a territory on the board, we're comparing attacking stones to get points versus taking points directly in Gote. We could say, for example, black could enclose this corner. This would be, well, white would have a stone here. This would be a fine next move. And if black wanted to continue taking points directly, black could put another stone here. And if given another move, black could put another stone here. The resulting sequence would be that black has spent 3 extra stones at the right-hand side and surrounded this amount of territory. 3 by 10, roughly 30 points. After reductions, that 30 points will likely go down to about 24 or 25. But black can get a similar amount of points or more if there's a weak stone to attack. Let's take a look at this position. Instead of enclosing the corner and giving black the next move, white has decided to split black's right side, an all too common occurrence in many Go games. At this point, black would wonder, what can I do next? This is where attacking comes into play. We often attack when an opponent puts a stone inside an area that's controlled by the opposite color. In this case, black has a stone in the lower right, black has a shimari in the upper right, and white has just played 1 stone on the right side, an area that is dominantly controlled by black stones. What we'll look at today in this position is how can black attack white using the attacking the base method. This would be aiming to prevent white from making a 2-space base or making white's 2-space base as cramped as possible. You're black in this situation. Where would you play? For this particular position, there's actually 2 answers. Black can choose to attack from here, blocking white's ability to make a base this way, or black can attack from this side, preventing white's ability to make a base this way. Both attacks will locally be fine for black, as they're going to help black achieve a good territorial result. How to choose? In reality, it comes down to player preference, but for this situation, there are some concepts that we can implement to help making the decision easier. In general, when attacking, you want to play from the side that has weaker or less stones, and try to move your opponent towards the side that has more stones. In this case, the black corner has 1 stone, and this black shimari is 2 stones. Therefore, this corner, theoretically, should be stronger than this one. That makes an attacking move from this side of the board a little bit more valuable. Black had slightly less control, less stones. Now black has 2 stones on this side as well, and if black gets another follow-up, black can remove white's base entirely. So, white is compelled to take the base on the other side. In this situation, from this point, black could look at the position and go, there's a gap here, I'd like to fix it, and make a base of his own. Securing 12 points in the corner, plus an additional 6 to 8 points on the side, totaling 20 points. With the added benefit that if white does not spend another move on the right side, later black can use one of the other two attacking methods, attacking from the center or attacking white's eye space to get even more profit. Let's take a look at this position from a real game between two 8-dan players. In this situation, black has just moved out the group fighting here, pressed this white stone down, allowing it to connect to its neighbors, and locally settled all of black's weak groups. From the purpose of moving on to attack something, and specifically for attacking the base, where can black play on this board to attack a base of whites? As we analyze the board, we notice that this white corner is fairly strong, having a base on the side and the corner. This white group has completely surrounded the right territory. The only group that does not have a complete base is this group on the top side. White would need one extra move here to bring the 4th line stone down to the 3rd line to close the base completely. Therefore, in black's case, black's next move should be here, attacking the white base and increasing black's influence on this side of the board. One example continuation of how this attack might go could have white expanding out into the center of the board, black defending his area, white fixing the base in the corner to prevent any attacks of life and death, and then black expanding his potential towards the center, threatening to cut white and also preparing to play some jump or press on this side, allowing black to create a very efficient framework in this position. By bothering white's base in both examples and forcing white to respond locally in a way where white doesn't make many territories, we can essentially say that these attacking moves that black is getting are free moves. That is, moves that black doesn't actually have to spend a whole turn in Gote to take, because white's answering them. When we can get a sequence of moves for free, that increases the efficiency of our overall position. Let's take a look at our second form of attacking. This is going to be attacking by blocking center access. Let's take a look at this position. Very similar to our earlier example with the orthodox opening and white having a split, in this case, black has also attacked. Black has chosen to attack from the stronger side, however, because of the presence of the black 3 stones in the upper left corner. To continue with the theme of attacking white space, black encloses the corner and also pinches white space between 2 one-space jumps. This is a very common attacking sequence against the white base, marking white to spend 1 extra step coming to the center. For this example of attacking, let's see what happens if white looks at the position and believes white's okay locally. And instead of playing to the center like white should be, this would be the proper move, white instead chooses to enclose the corner to protect against possible invasions or approaches. In this situation, black needs to figure out how to follow up black's attack against white's base. If you're black in this situation, how would you attack white? In truth, there are many ways that black can think about attacking the white stones. Some players may consider capping moves, such as this one or this one, but these shapes often leave a lot to be desired, and typically require black to have more support further out on the board to be effective. This is because white can break the elephant's eye and start forcing the positions to move in that direction. So instead of these capping moves, black has a much stronger, much more forceful opportunity. And those moves come from the shoulder hit. Just like the capping move, there are 2 different shoulder hits black can play. You should play the shoulder hit that is the opposite side of the side you want to surround. In this case, black has a much more vested interest in this area, so black should shoulder hit the farthest stone. This is because by contacting the farther stone, shoulder hits are considered to be contacting moves because if white answers, white is now in contact with black. We're strengthening the stone that's farther away from our interest in preparation to cover and take it. For example, If white simply blocks, this move would be aiming to prevent black from cutting through here. White is saying, you can't cut me. I'm going to strengthen my base. In this situation, rather than extending and leaving a large knight's move that's easily cuttable, black can choose instead to attach again. White has now pushed black from behind forward into surrounding the direction that black wants. And because white only has enough space locally for one eye, and white is nearly surrounded, white is weak enough that white needs to add a move not to be dead. Very often, this will be the wedge. Black can play Atari. White can connect. This will remove any cutting points in white's base. Black extends, protecting his weakest shape, the knight's move. Now white can no longer Atari to cut through. And this leaves us with a position where, again, if white tanukis, black is going to have the ability to attack the eye space of white's base from the second line, leaving white with no eyes. So instead, white is forced to defend by cutting. This allows black to extend, saving his stone on the outside, and sacrificing the stone, giving white an eye. The result of this attack is that white is able to live small locally. But white had to spend 5 moves in this position to achieve a 2-eye group. The counter to this is that black was able to get 4 useful stones facing the direction black wanted, and the 5th move being the sente to surround it. We can imagine a black move here or here, creating a really large framework that's quite difficult for white to invade. Now, wherever white chooses to come in, black is going to be able to attack its base, block its access, and eventually remove its eyes, leaving white in a very hard-pressed position. If we look at the amount of territory potential for white's 5 stones versus black's 5 stones, we can see a clear difference in territory with the attacking method. This is an example of attacking from the center. Let's take a look at this game example from 2 professional players on the Fox Ghost server. It was a rather peaceful opening, with black taking the corner here, white securing 2 corners, and then playing a reducing strategy to try to handle black's big area on the left. The last sequencing of moves that white did was in response to black pressing with this knight's move. White came in to shoulder hit the black base, prompting black to defend his base to increase his eye space, and having white jump forward to the black position to reduce it. This is where we're going to talk about the second form of attacking again, attacking from the center position. In our order of operations, attacking the base is usually almost always going to be first. We have to destabilize a group to make the center direction more valuable. In this case, white doesn't have a base, and even if white plays the next move, white cannot easily achieve a base. For example, with this tiger's mouth, black can strike this point, removing any base white would have. And if white plays the knight's move, trying to get ahead of that, then we can play this one, or here, to get underneath it, removing white's base. Even if white goes further into the corner, we can imagine a world where all of black's forcing moves condense white down into a space where white can't even make one eye. So in this case, white cannot achieve the space locally to make an eye on the left already. When such positions are the case, or the bases are already squeezed, as in our previous example, we look to attacking from center. So that's the quiz. Black to play. How would you attack the 2 white stones? This one might be a little bit tricky for players that haven't seen the shape. And actually, a lot of the times, the starting move is going to be highly dependent on what the surrounding context is. But in general, if you're somewhere in this box, you're going to be correct. The game move played by black was striking at this point. This was directly breaking white's ability to make the horse head shape to stabilize fast to the center. Black could have chosen to go more aggressive with something like the peep, but this would allow white creative opportunities to sacrifice and stay on the outside. For example, local tessages like this. So for the sake of this lesson, we're going to avoid the super sharp ones. In the game variation, Black played this one. White chose to bend down. Black attacked White's base. White covered the Black group here, threatening to Hane and double Hane. Black defends by linking under with the group. And in this position, White is already hurting for finding a next move. White could choose to extend to try to get more space to run this way. White could choose to play the Hane, although the Hane doesn't technically work. White could even choose to block and try to run further into Black's strong area. Not recommended because White's group here is also not strong yet. In the game, White chose to make a concession on this side, playing Hane and connecting, allowing Black to defend the shape. And then White decided at this point the group was going to be safe enough, White needed to defend the other one. Black played the Atari to remove White's cut and counter Atari, and White tries to stabilize the other group with kick and Ogema. But the result of this attack was, because White ended up having this group that was floating with no base, Black is able to bother it to efficiently build again. Black has already collected points naturally on the left side. We can count them, 10, 12, 14, 16 points at least. The White group here is still not alive yet, although it has 3 lines worth of space it can run, so the danger, although present, White might be able to handle it as a very strong player. But more importantly, Black also naturally got potential up here. We could imagine a world where Black maybe starts with a move like this, blocking White's access, and then all of a sudden, this area, which is 24 points, can naturally become a Black territory also. If we look at all the moves White has spent versus all the moves Black has spent, White hasn't made anywhere near as much territory per stone as Black. Again, showing the efficiency of such attacks.
By the way, you can also watch these lessons on our platform, gomagic.org. Except there, you'll watch them with interactive quizzes right within the lessons and practical exercises right after them. And if you enjoy watching these Go videos and you don't want to miss others like this one, go smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and this is Go Magic.